Hi, Terry here again. It's been another week and it's a Thursday. The last couple of days I've been intrigued by a couple of statements, again by Richard Rohr. He seems to get me thinking a lot. The phrases are, first of all, we cannot see what we aren't told to look for. We cannot see what we are not told to look for. We are not wrong. We're simply paying attention to what we were told to look at. I've been wondering about that. Is it true that I cannot see what I am not told to look at? I'm reminded of a scene decades ago where it was after a church service, and I'd probably taught for the morning service, and there was a gathering space, and people were milling around and talking, with kids and parents being brought together again after their separate times. And I remember a little girl who was tugging at her dad's shirt or coat or pant leg or whatever, and her dad was focusing on other adults. Probably taught that's what you do at a gathering like that. You pay attention to what others are doing. And the little girl just kept tugging until finally she pushed her dad over to a chair and virtually made him sit down. And then she put her little hands, one on each side of his eyes, and turned his head right toward her and said, "Daddy, look at me. Listen to me." It's like, interesting. He could not see what he was not taught to look at. And his daughter was saying, "Hey, look at me." And then he did. And there was an interaction that went on, and somehow she got heard. And I don't remember, but I would suspect once she got heard, she was fine. She just needed to be heard. But he could not because he was not told to. Then I think about some of the contexts that we are facing right now in a culture. I'll use one example of Black Lives Matter. And to apply this, how we as privileged white, as those who, are such as I, where we're comfortable middle class and had lots of privileges, and applying this would say we cannot see, or I cannot see, the plight of blacks, the challenges they face, because I wasn't told to look for it. Then the statement, I'm not wrong, I'm simply paying attention to what I was told to look at. In this case, by white privileged, look to white privileged, by white privileged. And then I hear the statement, Black Lives Matter. And I could react with guilt, and I would suspect there's room for that there are things that I should have or could have seen and advocated for. But taking it in a little different direction, saying, I wasn't wrong, I was simply paying attention to what I was told to look at. But now, if I think of the movement of blacks as taking a hold of my face and saying, look over here, you were not told to look at what we are facing, the challenges we have, or the prejudice against us. You were not told to, but now I am being told to. I am hearing it. I am feeling their hands on my face and say, turn over here. Or for them to turn my face toward Confederate leaders or soldiers up on pedestals being honored and saying, look over here. See this, think about this, listen to what we are feeling or what we are experiencing. it lands in a different place in me. It's not that, I shouldn't be looking over here, or suddenly this idea that, well, white lives matter too. That doesn't make any sense. I was taught to focus there, but now someone is putting their hands on my face and saying, look over here. Pay attention here too. And for me to look, but it's surprising when I listen to our culture, when somebody seeks to put their hands on our culture's face or those in our culture and seeks to turn them toward the plight, the challenges, the inequities that blacks face, how resistant they are to looking that way. I haven't looked that way before, and a term comes to mind that I've thought of from time to time over the past decades, and especially more recently, that just the simple statement, inconvenient truth. Inconvenient might mean it messes up my world, or the nice categories that I have, or it stirs up some sense of guilt in me that may be real or not, or if I turn there, then I listen and I hear, oh, you're prejudiced or you're racial, and I don't like that label. There are all these resistances toward, or this idea that there's a certain size pie, and to keep my share, to keep what I have, I don't want to share it with my power with women, or with other religions, or with blacks or Hispanics or immigrants, because if immigrants come in, then they'll take away part of the pie, and I won't. This idea of limited are the idea I need to hold on to and protect what I have. And where does that resistance live? Why right now is it stronger than I've heard before? Maybe it's because there are more hands on our faces that are saying, look over here, look over here. Well, my determination is to say, it's time for me to learn to see new things that I am being told to look for. Be it the plight of immigrants. We are, much of what I am hearing anyway is, be very careful, because focus on the threats that we have. There are terrorists that are coming over, or here are these people that are seeking to take our jobs, or they're illegal, when others are saying, hey, look over here. Look at those who are struggling, those who are refugees, those who are hungry, those who are imprisoned, or kids that are on concrete floors with an aluminum blanket over them, or something. Look over here too. I am determined to listen more carefully. Even those things that I might resist looking that way, like that dad, and feeling hands on my face and saying, look over here. I would encourage you to do the same. Listen again to the statement. We cannot see what we are not told to look for. We aren't wrong. We were simply paying attention to what we were told to look at. Then listen. Then move beyond that and say, okay, this is what I was taught to look for. What am I being asked, prompted, or almost yelled at, or whose hands are on my face and saying, pay attention over here too. Or pay attention especially over here. And we can apply it to all kinds of different places. It may be from your kids, it may be from your spouse, it may be through media, it may be through protests. But how about getting a little bit more flexible in the neck? So when somebody puts their hands on your face or my face and says, look over here, we don't argue. We don't say, but I'm told to look over here. It's better to look over here because nobody's looking over here. I should look over here too. Just simply be flexible and say, yeah, I'll look at that. I will look at that as well, and I will notice. In counseling, we call that empathy. Empathy, being willing to listen and or walk a mile in their sandals, or see life through their eyes, or feel what they're feeling without judgment, at least for that first phase. So let's see what we can see, because now we're told to look for new things. And maybe we can say, I'm seeing new things because I'm being told to look for new things. And I won't be wrong, but maybe it'll be a better world because I am simply paying attention to what additional things I'm being told to look for. Let's get a little flexible in the neck. Let's feel carefully for hands on our faces that are saying, look over here, and be less resistant. Be less against hearing some uncomfortable truths. I wonder what our world would be like if we were all willing to do so. Let's find out together, shall we? Have a great week.